has an opinion on this game, Colorado and Philadelphia. We mentioned the Phillies getting shut out last night by the Brewers last night, 1-0. As Christian Yelich, speaking of the Brewers, hit that sac fly in the ninth inning. So that was a hard one for the Phillies because they played pretty well, and Nola looked pretty good last night as well too. But this time the Phillies are hosting the Rockies. The Phillies are laying $1.85. If you like the Rocks, plus 165. We know the Rockies offense has been pretty solid and somewhat surprising so far this year. Total in this game 8.5, slightly shaded to the over here. Jeff, thoughts on the Rocks and the Phils today in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, pretty decent weather in this area, about 60 degrees, nice out. Look, I like the over in this game. Look, I know overs haven't been easy bets so far this season, about what, 2, 3 weeks into the year. But when we look at the Phillies, obviously you've struggled a little bit recently. They should be able to break out of a funk against Kyle Freeland. Kyle Freeland has been an absolute disaster so far this season. This guy's been a disaster for a while, quite frankly. You look at it in a couple of starts. I mean, he's got an ERA close to 8. His WHIP is close to 2. I mean, a WHIP over 1.5 is bad. I mean, his WHIP's close to 2. WABA numbers are high. Everything's bad about Kyle Freeland. He's a complete mess. That ballpark is concerning if you're Kyle Freeland because you got a lot of big boppers in that lineup. You have a lineup that I think is pretty frustrated after last night. I think the best tonic to a struggle against a ref or an ump that was out of control is Kyle Freeland. I expect them to hit. You look at against left-handed pitchers so far this season, the Philadelphia Phillies have destroyed them. I mean, they're hitting close to 300, 24 runs batted in. This team has been good against left-handed pitching. I look at the Rockies, though. I feel like they can get to Gibson a little bit. This is actually a pretty good Colorado lineup. I know Mark has talked negatively about him, and it's not one of the great Colorado lineups, but I know a lot of their numbers have to do with where they hit, but I feel like they can scratch a couple runs out here, maybe 3 or 4, and get this number up and over. I think the Phillies are going to do a lot of the heavy lifting here. I think this could be like a 6-3, 7-2 type of game, but I think Philly jumps out, gets some runs on the board tonight. And the good thing about Colorado is not only can you feast on Freeland, but you can feast on their bullpen. This is a bad bullpen. Phillies have been known to give up some runs as well. I think this is a game that goes over the post, the total. And I think we've even seen some books where this has moved up to 9. So I'll grab the 8.5 at BetUS and play the over.
Yeah, I think that's some pretty sound handicapping, Jeff. Remember, we talked about this game 5 days ago. Last start for both these guys was against each other, Kyle Gibson and Kyle Freeland, when we handicapped it last week. Colorado ended up winning the game 6-5. Phillies got out in front, scored some runs. Colorado came back, got 11 runs there. Obviously, the game was in Colorado. They scored 11 runs, but neither pitcher was great in that game. Freeland, his body of work is in front of us. Kyle Gibson's another one of those guys that's been pretty good, but if you go back with a whole body of work for Kyle Gibson the last couple seasons, not great as well too. So yeah, I thought this total may even come in at 9 or so. And remember, we still got to get in our mindset here, guys. It's National League pitchers aren't hitting anymore. Okay, it's DH all the way through here.
Right.
So we're seeing some higher totals, but 8.5 here. I can see where you're going with this thing, Jeff, especially since both these guys and these teams just saw these pitchers, both teams 5 days ago. So pretty convenient situation if you do like the over. Base winner?
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go if you play this game. My model has it priced at minus 144 Philadelphia, so that would show value on Colorado. I'm not entirely convinced on this team on the road. And we have like a team in Colorado, so the last 3 years is like 4th in baseball on the bad side from a road record. And then Philly's probably 4th or 5th in baseball on the good side from a home record. So I'm going to shy away from that play. But I like Jeff's logic here. I've got the thing priced from a total standpoint, 9.2 runs, but kind of looking behind that and looking into, I'll just go advanced metrics, stuff plus for Kyle Freeland, because I think Jeff touched on the high level stuff. But stuff plus for Kyle Freeland, 5 percentile. That's really low for a starting pitcher, and it's kind of one of those numbers where if he keeps that up, he's not going to be in the league very long. Kyle Gibson, and some of his numbers are better, but the stuff plus is 38%. So stuff plus numbers really bad for both pitchers. And then if you look at the advanced metrics for this particular game, for these particular bullpens, Colorado is worse. They're tied for worst in baseball with Washington. Taking a look at their hard hit per nine, expected strikeout rate, and expected walk rate. Year to date, long term, they're no good either. Philadelphia is kind of middle of the pack. So if you put all that in the mixer, aside from the fact that Philadelphia's offense, by my ratings, is fifth in baseball versus left-handed pitching, I think that number makes sense. That 9.2, maybe even a little bit higher. And when we'll see, like Jeff saying, the weather's not going to be a concern there from a freezing standpoint. Yeah, it's a good play, Jeff. I think I agree with you.
Right, I mean, for whatever, real quick, for whatever reason, I mean, Kyle Gibson's kind of the ultimate consistency guy. I mean, he struggles with being consistent. You look at certain months last year, like in May, he allowed opponents to hit 158. In June, he allowed opponents to hit 314. Like, he's completely all over the place. As you alluded to, TC, a couple of games ago, 6-5. Look, I know the air is thin out in Denver, but you got a pretty damn good ballpark here as well. A little short porches and left and right. So I expect some runs here. I just think Gibson's going to be the one that's going to suppress runs, obviously, not Freeland. But I think he can give a couple up. He's a pretty inconsistent guy for the most part.
All right, rooting for runs tonight in Philadelphia. Lock Jeff in with the over 8.5 with the Rockies and the Phillies tonight.